Click Magnet is an amazing tool from Tubebuddy. Now you may want to know, how can you double your traffic with just one change? Well, this tool can do that for you. So if you've got a blog, if you've got a business post that you post regularly, or if you're using video, which is probably my recommendation, then Click Magnet is a tool that you need to look at today. Welcome to today's video. So imagine just one change changing the amount of traffic you have. Imagine one change just doubling your traffic. I mean, let's just do some simple maths. If you have 1,000 visitors and on average just 5% of them will click through to your blog, your post or your video, then that's 50 people out of 1,000. But say, for instance, you could go from 5% click-through rate on your thumbnail to 10%. In effect, you've just doubled your traffic. But how do you know who's clicking? How can you monitor a click-through test? Well, this is where Click Magnet is a fantastic tool that I'm going to look at today. It tells you whether to use your face in a particular thumbnail that you're going to use. It tells you whether to be smiling or not. It tells you what words to use. In fact, you can answer all the questions you've got about your thumbnails by just using this one tool that analyses all your previous click-through rates and all your previous videos. Now, if you're running a business, it's worth just bearing in mind there are a few things to consider. For example, 92% of businesses say that part of their marketing strategy is to use videos. The chances are if you're going to use videos on your website, then you're going to embed them from YouTube or Vimeo. Those are the most likely ways to do it. And then, of course, it will show a thumbnail when it shows your video on your page. And also often it's good to use that thumbnail as the post thumbnail if you're blogging and if you want it to be seen in other social media platforms. So how do you know what thumbnail is going to work for your blog post and your video? 99% of businesses that are using thumbnails will continue to use thumbnails and video in 2021. So before we go any further, maybe it's just worth saying that if you're a business and you're not using video, then why should you use video? Why would you embed a video that's on YouTube on your website? Well, one of the main reasons, and I've mentioned this in previous videos too, is the fact that people are turning to video to get information. YouTube is a big search engine in itself. So if you're running a business and you've got a business website, but you're not using video, then you are missing out. Click Magnet makes sure that you get the right thumbnails for those videos. But also just bear in mind that if you've got a video on a page, then it keeps people on that page. And by keeping people focused on a page, that gives good signals to Google's analytics. And so Google will realise that when they take visitors to this page, rather than staying 1 minute, they stay 5 minutes because they watch your video. But you need to get them clicking through to those videos in the first place for you then to be able to have that type of impact on your traffic. So thumbnails are essential, whether it's for the blog, whether it's for the article itself, whether it's for social media, or whether it's actually on YouTube as a thumbnail. So these are the other reasons why you need to consider, though, using video if you are a business. Not just the fact it has a good signal to Google, but also the fact that people that are using for marketing purposes videos at the moment, 99% of them in a survey will continue to use videos in 2021. And 92% of marketing companies say that they'll continue to use video because they see it as part of their strategy. So the majority of businesses today, including Google My Business, want you to use videos because that's the way people communicate going forward. They reckon in 2021, on average, people will spend over 100 minutes a day watching videos. So can you have your business without the how-to video embedded on your website? Or can you have your business without a YouTube channel? Have you considered tying the two up? Well, they become far more powerful when you start to bring together other social media platforms. But knowing what type of thumbnail to have is where it all really starts, because if people don't click through to the video or to the article, they're not likely then to stay or even read the article. So let's see, how can you know these things? Well, with Click Magnet, within 30 minutes, I knew exactly what thumbnail to do and how to change all the thumbnails I've done in the past. And you may have noticed just recently, my thumbnails now have a much more uniform look. They're clear on what they're offering, and hopefully the reason why you're here is because you clicked through on my catchy thumbnail. So let's see what we can do and learn from Click Magnet. So what we need to do is to go to your studio, which is in YouTube, if that's where you've got your videos, and then you make sure if you've already enabled Tubebuddy, then you'll get this little drop down mechanism here. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice Click Magnet at the moment it's a new preview you can have a look at. So you launch that, so you'll need to make sure you've signed up, and it then is still in a beta preview. Expand your audience, drive more meaningful views by turning your videos into click magnets. So this is just going to show you exactly, you really need to just watch this because it's amazing what it does. So I'm going to click on Get Started then. And it's just going to go through, just check everything, and it's analysing to see what works and where the opportunities are. And obviously if you've got a lot of videos, then you'll get a lot more information about your thumbnails. So I'll just run through these power rankings. So first of all, it's just looking which videos and which thumbnails are really producing a good performance. And there it just looks at things like your click-through rates and the time that people have watched it and so on. So this is quite useful. It shows you whether or not you're growing as a channel, and you can define that down to what type of searches your videos come in as well. But obviously I can see at the moment that this video here about social media for Google My Business is obviously having quite an impact in traffic at the moment, and I've got a 7% click-through rate, which is really good. And on this one here I've got an 8.35. so I could conclude, if I just looked at it myself, that having my mouth wide open or being puzzled produces certain click-through rates, but it's not always as simple as that, because then without my face and just a simple icon I get nearly 8% of a click-through rate. So how do I know, and where's my opportunities, and how strong are these, and is it better to have a black background or is it better to have a white background? So this is the challenges you've got when you don't know the answers initially. But let me show you how you get the answers. If I go on to Element Inspector, so this is really cool because I can now see if I have no face, so if I have videos with no faces, do I get a better click-through rate than videos that has a face? So these videos have faces, these videos don't have faces. Now the reason why that's got a face is because at the moment I'm split testing. So actually the original video didn't have a face, it was like these. But you'll notice that because I'm already in the middle of split testing, you'll notice some of these things actually don't support what it's saying, but they did. That's before the click-through rate. So you can see that on average, if I've got a face, it just gets just a small percentage more of click-through rate. So that's one thing. Okay, what about emotions? So when a face is used, should I go for a happy face? Should I go for surprise? So in this video, there's a surprise, I get 8.35. And in fact, that would be, according to this, looking at all the emotions, happy's okay, it gets 5.79, but if I act surprised, I get a better click-through rate. Calm, confused, disgusted, mixed, they're all different emotions that are being picked up by Amazon's recognition, which is quite amazing that it can do that, and it seems quite accurate as well. Now, do I want to be surprised on every single thumbnail? Probably not, but happy seems to be producing quite a good click-through rate, so maybe that's what I'll choose. Let's click on sizes. So should my face be a close-up? Should it be medium or a long shot? Well, it seems that the closer my face is, so that's a close-up one where it's filled pretty much the whole screen. Long shots are more like a couple of those. You can see that again, because of split testing, then one of those is now different. That one's perhaps again medium, but it seems that close shots are getting the highest percentage. Again, most of these percentages are based on the videos before I did A/B testing, so the examples may not be quite what it was originally a few days ago before I did the A/B test. Let's go to text versus no text. So most of my videos do have text in. It seems that having text in a thumbnail, when I say video, I mean thumbnail. Then, so you've got an example here. This is with text and this is without text. So you could try a couple without text and see if it improves. But it seems that I think text generally, supporting text helps. And then what types of text or words in the titles would you use? So generally having the year seems to help click-through rates. You'll notice that's the most constant one this year, 2020. But using words like best, add, how, a number, and you've got a list of all sorts of other things that I've used. I started using 2021, but that's obviously quite low at the moment, but that will improve once we get into 2021. Now, how useful is that? You could never know all that information. Faces, emotions, the size of the face, the text, and so on. But the bit that really is useful is this one, the click-through rate. And this is what it's been all about. Now, you've got to, again, bear in mind that these are new thumbnails that I'm A/B testing. But let's just take this one as an example. So what it's saying is you've got a very high ability to improve on a 3.93 click-through rate. Why is that? Well, because a lot of people are visiting and finding this video, but not that many are clicking through. So it means that this video is appearing in a lot of results in YouTube and in Google, but I'm only getting a 3.93 click-through rate. Now imagine if that was 6 or 7, that would double the traffic. Imagine it was 10%, it would go even more spectacular. So these are all low click-through rates, and the reason they're low is because they were all, before I used this type of branding, this green branding, they were all just perhaps poorly designed, or they just didn't seem to really emphasize the message that I was trying to get across. And often when people then click through, they see the video and it is answering their questions, but they need to see the video in the first place. So what I did is I worked through these. So a lot of these now have been done. Some of these are A/B testing on different days, but you'll notice that the click-through rate, for example, here, that's not a spectacular thumbnail. And so look, 2.77%, so there's a high chance. And all you then do is you then click on create an A/B test. So if I click on that, and in this case I've got an A/B test on this already, so I'm not going to do it, but you can now, if I was to do an A/B test on this one, you can choose whether you add a new thumbnail or whether you want to change the title as well. I'd always suggest just stick with a thumbnail, do one thing, and once you change one thing, then you know whether that one thing had an impact. So if you click select, and then you can choose whether you go 14 days or whether you go for statistical significance. So the difference is it could be that it doesn't take 2 weeks to show whether or not it's going to have an improvement. But on the other hand, you need to have enough traffic so you get at least a 95% obvious, that it's obvious by 95% that one version is outperforming the other. So I tend to go for the statistical significance, and then you can set the time when it runs. And what it does, it will do a 24 hours on this one, then it will do a 24 hours on the new one, then it'll do 24 hours on the old one, then the new one. And once it's worked out whether there's a significant difference in click-through rate, it will then tell you which one wins. And that's pretty much how you do it. So if you click continue, and then all you do is upload your new thumbnail. So this will be known as the variation, this will be known as the original, and they run side by side. Now, how do they look when you've done that? Well, if I click on manage, and you'll see here that I've got several that are going on. So there's an example. If I click on there, you'll see that at the moment this is having a 12% click-through rate, this new one, and this one's had no percentage at all. So unfortunately there's not been enough traffic to tell the difference between these two. But which one would you click on? Would you click on this one if you want to know how to add an event on Google My Business? Or would you click on this one, stand out with events? Well, hopefully you can see that changing your thumbnails can have quite a significant difference to the amount of traffic you receive. And that isn't just the case for video, though video obviously is having a major impact on business going forward in 2021. But that's also the same for when you then blog. So if I go back to a blog, for example, all these thumbnails here, again, will no doubt change in time when I get round to it. But I think Click Magnet is powerful. It's going to change your click-through rate for your blogs, for your posts, for your social media. So when you use Twitter, when you use Facebook, you always need a thumbnail. And using the same consistent thumbnail is impacting on how your branding is viewed. So once your branding stands out, then people are more likely to click because they're looking for you. They're buying into your branding and into what you offer. So hopefully that's been a really useful video. But now join me on this next video, and it's going to show you how you can improve on your Google My Business listing.